Is Apple's Magic Keyboard Folio really worth $250? And how does it compare to the original Magic Keyboard, which I've used since it came out and I've loved everything about it other than the $300 price, which you can now buy for $167. And are iPad Pro and Air users missing out with this new keyboard? Well, I've been using it for the last 4 or 5 days, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, both positive and some negatives with some very weird quirks. So we are gonna compare all of the differences between these two, and I'll give you guys my honest opinion about this new keyboard, or if you should buy another alternative that Apple does not want to advertise, but comes in much cheaper and with more features. Now, getting right into it, the reason why I even wanted to put a comparison in this video is because you can buy this Magic Keyboard for super cheap now, refurbished, and an iPad Air 4 for $418, making the full iPad Air package with the keyboard come in at $585 total, compared to $700 for this new 10th gen. And we did a full comparison between these iPads, and the iPad Air, even in the 4th gen, actually beats out the iPad 10 in many ways. So if you have not yet bought an iPad 10, you should definitely pay attention. I want to start out with the weight and the thickness. The iPad 10 by itself actually weighs more than the iPad Air. But when you factor in the two keyboards, the Magic Keyboard original one is quite a bit heavier than this new Magic Keyboard Folio. But surprisingly, the iPad 10 setup is thicker because of the design of the keyboard, but the footprint is slightly smaller because of this hinge portion. Now, the hinge on the Folio, which is an upside, also brings with it a downside, which I'll talk about in just a bit. But as you see, it's not a complete hinge, it's very floppy because of this design. On the back, the reason it's thicker is because we have our kickstand that is adjustable, and it allows you to be able to have it stand almost vertical, not exactly, and then be able to be brought down in terms of the angle. The original Magic Keyboard has a laptop-like design, which also means that you can actually set the angle like this if you put it up high, but once you get it up this high, you can twist the actual iPad higher, and if we look at the total angle, it pretty much matches up. With that said, one thing I really like about the Magic Keyboard is that your iPad is floating, and that brings it closer to your face, making the screen look bigger, and it's more comfortable without having to look down as much as with the new one. I also really like how compact it is because the overall surface area that you need to be sitting on a desk and, for example, a tray table on an airplane is very small. And that means it's all very compact compared to the Folio, which you have the keyboard that sticks out a lot more if we line up the screens. You guys see that right here. And then the kickstand is also way far back. Because of that, you need 50% more area to get the same angle, 14 inches compared to 9.5. And for some people, that might not matter, but like I said, if you're on an airplane with those tiny tray tables, that is so nice to have this compact package. And if you're out somewhere, say a restaurant, you have this set up, or a coffee place, it is nice to be this compact. Now, with that said, the key standout feature that a lot of people like is the fact that you can detach that keyboard, and now, bam, if you don't need that keyboard, you're not typing using a trackpad, well, you have this super compact little setup where you have great magnetic strength, you have protection there on the back, and you could still watch or do whatever on your iPad, and it is nice and small. With a Magic Keyboard, that keyboard is always there, even if you don't want it. And if you're letting your young kids use it, that's not a great thing because they're always touching it and messing stuff up. Now with that, if you want to use your iPad in landscape, well, that is kind of annoying having that keyboard be there. Whereas with the iPad 10, bam, you flip it there. You don't have the same kind of angles, unfortunately, but at least it can stand up almost vertically, and you can set it up next to your monitor, things like that. Now, as far as the keyboard, both of these feel really nice, but I would say that the Magic Keyboard actually feels better now that I've gotten to use both of them and using them side by side. I don't know if it's just the feedback I feel or what, but I can tell a difference. Now, looking slightly below, both have excellent trackpads that have a really, really great clicking feel, even though they're not magnetic like we have on the MacBooks. but I would actually say that the one on the Folio actually feels slightly better. And with that, you guys can see the difference in size. Now, the width is almost the same, but when we stack them up, the Magic Folio one has much more room because of the design and being able to use the larger area here instead of having a section be behind or below the iPad. And in daily use, it definitely is nice to have that extra space. Now, probably the killer feature with the Folio that people that have an iPad Air or Pro with this one want to have is that function row. Using it, it is so nice to have, being able to adjust your brightness quickly, your volume, hitting that mute switch if you need to mute it, be able to control your media. Whereas with the Magic Keyboard, I'm doing stuff, then I have to go in and adjust my brightness like this or my volume, being able to skip a track if you're playing music in the background, which I like to do. It is so nice to have that, and I really wish this one had that. But flipping to the other functions, the Magic Keyboard has that USB Type-C port. So you can plug it in to charge, and that cable runs flat on your desk, and then you still have access to the USB Type-C port if you want to connect any sort of external media, any accessories. That is really nice to have that flexibility, which with this one, they did not add that functionality, so you have that cable hanging off the side of charge. And if you need a charge, you can't plug anything else unless you wanted to use other external adapters that are gonna click on the side there. Now, the last thing for the comparison that is a huge bummer that I was not expecting if you're spending $250 is the fact that the keyboard does not have any backlighting built in. I think it's unexcusable for this kind of a price tag if you're buying it. Whereas the Magic Keyboard, all those keys are backlit, and it is so nice to have if it's a little bit darker, if your kids want to use it and they're not great at touch typing, it is very convenient. I have no idea how or why Apple left that out. I mean, if it was $150, $200, still sucks, especially with the alternative I'm gonna share. But I mean, with this price tag, it is just crazy that they didn't add it. And now let's close this thing down, and I wanna share my experience with this Folio. Now, when I started using it, I really liked it, even though a lot of times I was using it with the keyboard. I love the fact that this section is larger. My hands are resting right here compared to off the keyboard before, and the whole thing works great. And using the trackpad, it is definitely nicer, especially if you're scrolling through websites. Having that extra vertical space has been awesome compared to, you know, me being used to using the Magic Keyboard. And being able to pop this off when I don't need that and just set this up for my kids to watch some videos has also been really nice, because my youngest son, Elon, he will just try to touch the trackpad, he'll try to type, the video goes away, then he has to call me. So just being able to do this and being able to set it up has been awesome. I was also very surprised by the strength of this attachment. It is crazy. All right, I went a little too far there shaking it, but it is very solid. And even though this is also magnetic and clicks in like that, it is insane how strongly this attaches. You're not gonna be worried about it at all. Now, one thing that I also did not expect that kind of disappointed me is how this connects. With this iPad, it is extremely solid. It's on a hinge. This is not going anywhere. And with the new Folio, well, if you look at this, it is just sliding all over the place when I put it into my bag. If I'm holding it, I would think that Apple would add some additional magnets here so it would actually stay in one place. I can imagine, some dust or sand or anything getting on here, and then it being able to wrap back and forth in your bag wherever you put it. That would cause a lot of scratches on that screen. So it is very weird how we don't have anything holding this together. And another thing I discovered is that with this hinge, which is nice and stiff, sometimes I wish it went a little bit lower. I know with this one, it has the same angle, but it makes sense because you have a multi-hinge here. It's more limited, but why not allow it to go lower here? The Logitech keyboards that we've tested and reviewed go way lower than this, and that is nice to have to be able to adjust it if you're on a standing desk or doing something else, or if you're gonna be drawing with the Apple Pen. Pencil, this angle is not the best. If we can have it be slightly lower like this, that's a lot more comfortable. Now, unfortunately, I still haven't been able to test it out because my adapter has still not arrived, so I can't even pair it. But I think this is a major oversight with a keyboard that uses this kind of design. Even Microsoft Studio Desktop goes way low for a great angle if you're drawing or doing anything else. Now, my last complaint about this Folio is that it only comes in white instead of having the option to have white or black. Now, white looks super cool, super clean, but it is very hard to keep clean. Here's my keyboard for the 12.9 inch. It is white, and as you guys could see, I have a bunch of dirt, lines, stuff like that that just built up. And I don't just take this outside in the park, anywhere where it's too dirty. And believe it or not, I actually wash this thing first with water and a microfiber cloth, then with alcohol, and this is what's left. It was way dirtier than this, and this stuff right here does not want to come off. So if you're gonna be using this thing, well, that definitely is a downside. I wish they offered it in black. So with all of that said, do I think this is worth 250 bucks, and should you spend your money on it? Well, overall, I love some of the design features and capabilities, but I think that price point is way too high. Now, it is sleek, it's fairly slim, it's not that heavy, but that's just a lot of money. And if you're looking for an alternative, Logitech just launched their new keyboard, which they had for previous ones, but they adjusted it for the iPad 10. But unfortunately, Apple did not put it on their website like they have the other ones. You have to get that directly from their website, and I'll also link it down below, maybe to Amazon as well. And that's probably because they don't want to take away sales from this keyboard, because the other one does have a lower angle, it does have backlighting, it also uses that smart connector. You can detach the keyboard as well, so it costs less money, it has more features, it's not a cheap Bluetooth only keyboard. The only thing is there, your iPad pops into it, which does mean that you get extra protection here all along the sides. So it's also a little bit thicker, but at that price point, I think that's definitely a winner. Now, overall, if you have not bought an iPad 10 just yet, well, I'd say overall, I would take the original keyboard instead of this design. Yes, it has some limitations, you can't detach that keyboard, but having the ability to charge and having that backlighting and being able to pick up a package for under 600 bucks altogether with an iPad that is better instead of spending $700, I mean, I think that is the smart thing to do. So that is my opinion. You guys let me know yours. Check out the comparison between the iPad Air 5 and 4 compared to the iPad 10 right over there. Click that circle above to subscribe. This one Max, and I'll see you in the next one.